Imagine two people. The first has a $1,000 credit card balance. Ask if they're in debt, and they'll say yes without hesitation. The second also owes $1,000, but spread across 4 buy now, pay later payments. Ask them the same question, and a lot of people hesitate. Some say, not really, which is strange. They owe exactly the same amount. The math hasn't changed. The debt hasn't changed. Only the way it's presented has. That tiny psychological difference might explain why buy now, pay later has become one of the fastest growing ways people borrow money in the world. So is it actually a trap, or just another way to pay?
This isn't really a story about debt. It's a story about psychology, about why two identical numbers can feel completely different, and how one small change at checkout quietly shapes what we buy. You're shopping online. You find a pair of designer sneakers for $1,000. Wow, that's expensive. You pause. You wonder if they're worth it. Then you see another option. 4 easy payments of $250. Something shifts. The shoes haven't gotten cheaper. The price is still $1,000. But buying them suddenly feels easier because your brain has stopped focusing on the full price and started focusing on $250. Behavioral economists call this the pain of paying. Every time we spend money, we feel a small moment of discomfort. That discomfort is useful. It makes us stop and ask, do I actually need this? The more immediate that pain feels, the more carefully we spend. Buy now, pay later reduces that pain, not by charging less, but by paying later in smaller pieces. Here's the trick almost nobody notices. It doesn't change the math. It changes what your brain pays attention to. One $1,000 balance in a banking app is impossible to ignore. 4 separate $250 payments spread across weeks each get filed away individually. Small, manageable, harmless. The debt hasn't shrunk. Only your perception of it has. A week later, you buy a $400 smartwatch, 4 payments of $100. Not bad. Then headphones, then a jacket. Each one on its own feels completely reasonable. Your brain rarely stops to add these together. It files each purchase into its own small mental box. Nothing feels alarming until one day your bank account feels tighter than usual, and you check what's actually due. The shoes, the watch, the headphones, the jacket, all landing at once. None of them look dangerous alone. Together, they've quietly become a real monthly obligation. This is how this kind of debt usually grows, not from one bad decision, but from many small ones that never felt like a problem at the time, like a dripping tap slowly filling a bucket. You barely notice until it overflows. Buy now, pay later didn't start with everyday spending. It began as a way to spread the cost of bigger necessary purchases. Now it shows up on groceries, beauty products, food delivery. Financing this week's groceries over 6 weeks isn't really a payment method problem. It's a sign the monthly budget was already stretched before checkout. And this isn't about being bad with money. It targets something every human brain does, valuing today more than tomorrow. Psychologists call this present bias, the same reason we tell ourselves we'll start saving next month. Buy now, pay later hands you the reward today and quietly pushes the cost into a future that always feels like someone else's problem until that future arrives and you're paying for decisions made weeks ago, all landing at once. Fair question. If there's no interest, how does anyone make money? Usually the retailer pays. When you buy those shoes on a payment plan, the store doesn't receive the full $1,000. The bnpl provider takes a fee, often higher than a normal credit card processing fee. Why would a retailer accept that? Because splitting payments makes people spend more. Shoppers are more likely to finish the purchase, upgrade to the pricier option, and less likely to abandon their cart. A store might sell someone $700 shoes outright, or by showing only $250 today, convince them to buy the $1,000 pair instead. Even after the fee, that's still a bigger sale. Often, it really is interest-free. Pay on time and you owe exactly the sticker price. Miss a payment though, and late fees or restrictions can kick in, and some longer plans do charge real interest. But here's the deeper cost. You don't need any interest at all for this to get expensive.
If you bought those $1,000 shoes only because $250 felt easier to justify and paid every installment on time, you still spent an extra $1,000 you might never have spent otherwise. The real cost was never the interest. It was the purchase itself. So should you never use it? Not necessarily. It's neither good nor bad on its own. If your laptop breaks and you need one for work, and you'd already decided to spend the $1,000 either way, splitting it into 4 payments just helps manage cash flow. Nothing wrong there. But with the shoes, the payment plan is what changed your mind in the first place. That's the real dividing line. Buy now, pay later is fine when it helps you pay for something you'd already decided to buy.
It's dangerous when the payment plan becomes the reason you decided to buy it at all. Here's one question that can save you real money over your lifetime. At checkout, ignore the monthly payment. Ignore only $250 today. Instead, ask, if this plan didn't exist, would I still buy this for $1,000 right now? If yes, splitting it is just cash flow management. If no, the payment plan didn't make the purchase affordable. It just made saying no harder to hear. Nothing about buy now, pay later is hidden. The price, the schedule, the terms, all right there. And yet our brains experience the purchase completely differently anyway. That's because people don't make financial decisions with spreadsheets. They make them with emotions. Smaller feeling payments feel safer, even when the total never moved. Used for planned, necessary purchases, it's a genuinely useful tool. The danger is what it quietly changes. Not the price, not the math, but your perception of both. Debt rarely starts with one bad decision. It usually starts with a string of comfortable ones, until one day those small payments add up to a number you can't ignore. The math never changed, only the way your brain saw it.